Call the meeting to order.
Jenkins.
Here.
Harden.
Here.
Hahn.
Here.
Testori.
Here.
Kelly. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first thing that we have on this evening's agenda is the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Call it.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Hahn.
Yes.
Harden.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Testori.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We move on to section 2, unfinished business.
I make a motion to remove from table resolution 2016-11, fraternal order of police contract.
I'll second it.
Call it.
Hahn.
Yes.
Harden.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Testori.
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2016-11, fraternal order of police contract.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
I'm still not happy with it. Because the letter here shows that the city manager and the attorney went at this on their own. But it is what it is, and I can't change it now. Actually, you're happy with it, right?
I'm okay with it. I understand what you're saying there because you and I, since we were on the committee, should have been informed more of what was going on as it progressed.
You're happy with the percentage though? You're not happy with the percentage?
No.
I think looking down the road, I don't see anything wrong with it. 2.5, 2.5, 1 and 1.
And just asked, and you would rather see it at what?
I'd rather see it one across the board.
Lock them in for 4 years at 1% each year, 4% over the next 4 years.
I think the police budget's large as it is, and I'm not sure I'm happy with the performance.
Gentlemen, your thoughts?
So the problem is, since this is a union, if we don't approve this, then it goes to arbitration.
Good mitigation and arbitration, yeah. And it could get more expensive from there.
That's what concerns me, is that if we kind of lose control of it to a certain extent, if it goes to arbitration.
I don't think the percentages are out of line, to be honest with you. I really don't. Looking at what other communities and departments are doing, we're in line or below that.
The cost of living is at 1 point, in the worst areas is 1.5. So this barely keeps up with cost of living. So, if you don't make cost of living, and I don't think this does, you're not getting a pay raise. You're simply not. So I think 1.75%, just my thoughts, is a good percentage, and it's over 4 years. Am I correct? What were we? It was every 2 years, sir, that we were going into negotiation. Or was it every 3?
The initial proposal from the union was 3 years.
3 years. So by extending it a year, we've saved some money there as well too. So, any other thoughts, discussion? Roll call.
Harden.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Testori.
No.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Hahn.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This moves us to section 3, new business.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2016-13, donation to the Farmer City Historical Society.
I'll second it.
Discussion. And you did receive a letter, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that was commenting on the need. You did increase, am I correct? It was a $3,000 you requested last year, and this year there's a $5,000 request, so $2,000 increase. Is there anything you want to speak to about that?
It's mostly is that we need the air and the heat changed because it's not keeping the materials, artifacts safe.
Okay.
What's your name?
Kristen Tate.
Okay.
I just became president about 4 months ago, so, the biggest concern is that we have one little window air conditioner for that whole building. And then a old, I don't know, I would call it an old like garage unit to keep the heat in there. So we'd like to see if we can't go towards something a little bit modern today. And, you know, we have all the journals in there from the 1900s. They're so brittle and we're getting moisture. And we got a little humidifier, but that thing like is sucking up water like full within like less than a day. So we're just trying to figure out what would be our best way to go in there. And so far our cheapest from talking to somebody was over $6,000. So just for the heating and the cooling.
Does the Historical Society own that building?
No, the Masons do.
Okay.
And there's some other things we need to fix in there too, so.
Are the Masons kicking in on this, or?
They don't really have, that I know of, too much to be able to kick in themselves, so that's kind of why we come to you guys to see if we might be able to get a hand that way.
What you guys do is definitely very important. I mean, really appreciate, you know, the pictures in here and everything came from you guys, and so it's definitely important work that you're all doing.
Yeah, because some of the humanity in that is going to start curling some of our pictures and stuff like that, and we're just trying not to get anything ruined in there, you know. You can't replace it if it's gone.
And this is coming out of the hotel motel?
Yes.
Would they have been eligible for TIF 1 funds?
The Masonic Lodge applied for TIF 1 funds, and that helped put that awning across the entire front of the building, so.
And that's where you guys helped us with the $3,000 last year for that awning, which is very, very handy. Thank you.
So what's the operating expense of it per year?
Of the heat and
Of the museum? Of the museum?
of the museum. Well, I don't actually have the paper with me.
Well, heat and air would seem to be a one-time expense.
Yeah, I don't really know that one. My treasurer was supposed to bring me a report and I didn't look at it.
This new system you're looking at, is it gonna keep the air dry?
Well, that's what we're being told. It would be something that they could, it would like recirculate the air and stuff like that. And it would make it where it wasn't so moist. You would stay away from the mildew or any kind of mold that might be coming in and stuff like that. It's a non-profit organization, so it's kind of hard to get the money in. We're trying to figure out new ways to bring money in, but like I said, I've just started.
Well, my point is if we give you the 5,000, is that gonna fix your humidity problem?
It should, from what I'm being told from a couple of people who are looking towards like bids and so forth to give us an idea, that it would help get rid of that issue. And that's like the biggest issue because, you know, it's once the mold there or whatever, we can't really get rid of it, so I think it would take care of it. They did say it was a recirculating where they would make it through the whole building, and put some like ductwork in, and run it all the way from the back to the front and work it like that.
Are you requesting any other funds from any other organization?
The Clark Foundation.
Okay. They meet is it this Saturday?
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
Okay.
I'm wondering if we couldn't break it into the normal 3,000 and the 2,000 as an upgrade, and then next year it'll still be the 3,000 we're looking at instead of the 5,000 plus.
This is not an every year 5,000, this is kind of a special.
Not that I know of, like I said, I was just started, so as far as I know, this is just like so far the max because of the heat and the cooling.
The society's come every year, haven't they? I'm pretty sure they're every year.
From what I'm being told, it's been every year, but I wasn't given.
Any other questions or discussion? Of course, I mean, I'll have to definitely want to review that next year. How much are you asking for the Clark Foundation, do you know?
What we usually ask from Clark is $1,500,
Okay.
and that takes care of those quarterly mirrors that we send out, and the postage and all that stuff for that one.
The mirror subscription, is that $20?
15, I think.
$15. Any other discussion?
You guys had several bids as far as,
Not that I know of. It's, I've asked Dale Dubson if he could go ahead and start finding people, because I wasn't quite sure even where to start. So he's supposed to be looking into other people and stuff like that right now.
Are we gonna request a receipt? Is that how that, we can do that?
We'd have to have something. Let me throw out that, I think that your board is new, is that correct? You just recently took over? I went down there with the old board, and so this has been an ongoing problem because we had this discussion quite some time ago. And I had suggested that, maybe electric baseboard heat in various parts of that building. Maybe that since they're a nonprofit, that we could do something with the power, help them out a little bit with that. Or if they were having a rough time getting all the funds gathered up, if they went with the electric baseboard heat, then all they'd have to look at would be a central air unit. So that was just something to think about too. I don't know if they'd want to still research that as well for comparisons.
I mean, I don't know if you're gonna have to run ductwork. Is there ductwork there?
There's no ductwork for
No
that
ductwork.
city.
Yeah, and I talked to Jonathan Fields about 6 months ago, again, same type of idea with Larry, the previous group, but he was talking about the same type of system, and he had talked to a couple different ones, and he was mentioning the 5,000 range. That's what it would take, but he said that he hadn't asked for estimates until he knew where the money was coming from, because they didn't have it at the time. So.
I'm not sure if I can ask this now. Are we looking at local contractors to do the work?
That's what we started. I thought would be a good idea is if we could look, and.
In Farmer City
Yeah,
contractors?
because like Mike
Inger.
and then Dale said he knew a couple more people that he could, and I thought it would be good to keep it in the town still too.
We'd prefer that.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Kelly,
yes.
Testori,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
motion carried.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2016-14 for maintenance of streets and highways by municipality in the Illinois Highway Code.
I'll second it.
So this is the yearly MFT. Okay.
Yes, discussion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Approximately 2 weeks ago, the engineer from Farnsworth that assists with the MFT program came and rode the streets with Fred. They looked for obviously several different things. There's not a lot of oil and chip this year. This is actually a reduced number, 52,500. But it's keeping a balance in the MFT fund, which we want to do as well. So it's in essence general maintenance work.
Any questions?
This is the list on the back of the streets we're doing.
Yes, and I tried to make a copy of the streets that were actually being oiled, but on a black and white printer, they're kind of hard to make out, so.
Well, I know some of the streets are, not very far from the curbing. And you see a lot of erosion going on in the yards. Can any of that be reground and set back down?
Yes, it can be. It's a very expensive program, somewhat similar to what we did up on Plum. when we did that. We were hoping to build this fund up and then resurface John Street, since that's an important aerial street here in town, so.
When are you hoping to do that? Next, or a couple years?
Maybe next year. It's just gonna all depend, because there again, we had discussed the parking situation up there. So we'd like to get that addressed before you develop the street. So you kinda need to do the parking area first, so.
How many times can you build the streets up before you have to mill them back down?
I can't answer that, because, you know, you build the street up and the person throws rock along the street and it keeps going up, so. I'm not sure, Scott. But oil and chip, and you deal with it, you know, oil and chip is so thin anyway, you're only adding just an inch by the time it's rolled and packed and some of the rock leads, so very thin coat.
Sometime we're gonna have to address, and it's a major cost, so we're gonna have to try to get some grants or something, but they need redone. Well, how we're gonna afford it, but you know what that stuff cost.
No, I just put it down. It comes to me free, I just put it on the ground.
We'll bring some over and just drop it off throughout town.
Roll
Cost a
call.
lot.
Sorry, it's all right.
Tesori,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Harney,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 964, amending section 110.16, special event liquor license of the Code of Commerce City.
Discussion.
Gentlemen, this is something that has been in the works for a while, and I've tried to keep you abreast on what was going on. We passed the initial one for the beer garden out on the street, so you could enjoy a cold one during Heritage Days on a public way. This is to bring us up with state code, and it's for the, actually amending the code here, for the retailers to be able to participate, have that, make that sell, and then allow the customer to take that outside their front door. So this is something that is needed by state law. And this was, Joe worked on this, so.
So this satisfies everything that the promoter of the Heritage Days committee needs to.
Correct.
We're getting tight on that one.
Now, is there anything that, I mean, do you have to be 21 to enter this
Yes.
area?
State law, so.
Any questions or any discussion? So they'll have to, I mean, upon approval, their next step is to apply. And I believe I thought it was within 21, was it 21 days? No, 30 days, no earlier than 30 days prior to the date of use.
Once you girls get our approval, then you'll go ahead with the permit, is that right? Or with the city?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys,
Well, the special liquor license is issued by the city
by
of
the city?
Farmerston.
Okay. Is it something that we gotta apply for, you say, here within?
Yes, there needs to be an application, because all of the paperwork has to go to Springfield, so.
You're up on deadline now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we apply or do the bars?
Just the
The
bar.
license holders.
Okay, is it a fee for them?
$25,
Okay.
like, hold on, there may be per day.
Sure.
So what this is saying is that the whole area that the liquor's gonna be in has to be 21 and over? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that, it's gotta be fenced in, or it's gotta
Because
be,
it'll be double snow fence, but we were under the assumption that the whole area could be, like in Mohammed, where it's like, you know, all ages are there, but the liquor is obviously being consumed by 21 and over. We were gonna have like ID stations and stuff, you know, before anybody walks in, they get ID'd. If they want to drink, they have to have a wristband and they have to have certain credentials in order to go into the bars or drink anyway, you know. So I guess we didn't, maybe we weren't aware that it had to be just 20.
I'm not aware of it either.
Right.
I don't know
I mean,
what
that's
the-
gonna make us change things if that's the case, regardless of your.
Do your bar owners know
What's that?
if they have to be 21 to be in this fenced-in area?
You know, I don't know what your new, what your variance is on this new license. I don't know what it pertains to. I've not read it. So, I don't have a clue of what the state requires.
You're gonna determine if you want underage people in there with alcohol moving around. A part of the idea of the double fencing, and that came from our insurance carrier, was one bud didn't hand another bud a beer. And, you know, I mean, you'll have that happen.
Right.
Doesn't mean that the license holders aren't doing their job, but it's gonna happen. So, you have to determine that.
I don't know that that's a good idea to have a Ferris wheel going and your idea is just to let everybody walk.
No, I mean, there would be like a checkpoint where like no one leaves this point with liquid, you know what I mean? Like your cup gets thrown into a garbage.
So there's
There
only
will
gonna be a
people-
certain area that
Yes,
can,
there will be snow fencing to where it's just an entrance into the area where the concert's gonna be and where the music's gonna be, on the stage area, into the 300 block. There will be snow fence and there will be just an area where there's gonna be people standing and making sure that everybody, you know, if you're gonna drink, you need to go over here and get carded. They're also gonna have bouncers at the door, so to make sure that if they second guess what we've done, they can card at the door. You know, I mean, they have the ability, the bars have the ability to do that at the door.
it's like your bar, Randy, I mean, they can bring a 12-year-old in,
No,
cannot.
Cannot.
not anymore. Well, I mean, sure, they could, but now with legalized gambling, I won't allow it.
You don't allow it, but I mean, what about the state? I mean, do
The state
they?
doesn't care. Well, when it comes to that, I mean, you just gotta maintain, if you've got gambling machines, you just gotta keep them out of that area.
Right.
So to solve that question, or to solve that problem, I just don't allow them to come in, so. There's nothing for anybody underage.
Okay, so you're,
And that's why they'll have the bouncers at the door. Nobody underage is gonna get through their doors. It's just gonna be like it would be on a normal day. But there's gonna be more security because of this event.
And no one can drink without an armed guard.
so are you wanting to allow?
Kids in there, yes.
Not into the bar, into
Into
the
that.
area, into the beer garden area. No children will be going into any bars.
Okay,
Not-
now, but there will be drinking in this area.
And it's
Right, 'cause I mean,
in
it's the whole 300 blocks. I mean, we can't, you know, we'd have to figure out how we're gonna section. It would be,
This is where
it'd
the,
be a
this is
nightmare,
where
trying to
the
figure it out.
concert's gonna be, correct?
Yes, yes, the
So,
stage is gonna
If
be
you
like
can't get
parallel
through there, you can't get to the
54.
concert, right?
Correct, I mean, you know,
Joe, the way I'm reading this though, I'm looking at page 2B, the limits of the premise or area which any such beer is proposed to be sold, transferred, and/or consumed, and the measure to control the premise or area. So, is that saying that the area that it's being consumed in shall also be limited by age as well? I'm looking at B, and then of course under my responsibility, the local commissioner may refuse to issue any temporary license as provided for this article if it is found. Look at C, that any measure to ensure the protection of persons under the age of 21 years are not adequate to reasonably ensure such protection.
Well, quite frankly, in my vision of what this would be, and if this is wrong, it's my fault alone, is that the beer garden would be exclusively 21.
That's the way I'm reading that, so.
I gotta throw out there too, that if it's not exclusively 21, and there hasn't been any conversation about this before, we'll have to go back to our insurance and let them know that the beer garden on Main Street will have underage people in it as well. So,
If you got a lot of people, you're not gonna be able to control who's drinking this.
But that's the reason why you have a controlled area, to where the bar, or the outside area becomes an extension of the bar. Just as you
Right.
would not allow someone under 21 to come into the bar, you extend the area outside the bar, and it becomes the bar itself, and then you...
I understand what you're saying, but I understand what they're saying too. And that's not their vision.
No, I know that. I'm just saying that their vision is not what's covered in this.
If you got a group of 2,000 people, you can't control who's drinking, no matter how many arguments you got.
The only place that's gonna be alcohol to be sold is in the bars, correct? It's also gonna be sold outside the bars in this area?
Well, it's gonna be coming outside the bars, and then plus we're talking about putting a wagon up there and for draft beer. And the bars split the operation of that, and then we split that with the Heritage Days folks.
I mean, I personally don't have a problem with it, but if there's legal parts, we gotta figure that out.
Well, see, here's what they were talking about. They were talking about putting armbands on everybody 21, okay? They're gonna card them all previously.
Okay.
If they come in here, they got an armband, they're gonna be a certain color armband, so you can't duplicate it. And maybe stamping everybody under 21.
Okay.
Will have like a stamp.
Okay.
So that way there's no confusion. Somebody take off an armband, give it to somebody underage, well, hey, guess what? He's got a stamp on there, he can't get off.
Okay.
Well, then that solves
Well,
that problem. I think that's.
Is that what you guys got planned?
Yeah.
Okay, these are the kind of things we need to know.
It sounds like you need to clear it with the insurance company.
Yeah, and we.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a lack of communication, because I didn't realize that it was gonna be, so.
We don't
I just don't
wanna,
think we can say, if you came with all your grandkids, you can't go in there, you know? In Muhammad.
but they'll have a stamp, what you're talking about.
Right. You for underage, it's gonna be like a giant stamp. I mean, we're gonna do everything that we can humanly do possible to, but I mean, Muhammad does it, and there's no catastrophes, and, I mean, we're just hoping for like a nice festival, that's all we want.
Have you
And,
communicated with them as far as what their ordinance might say?
I mean, I didn't even know that it was an issue. I mean, no, I've not communicated with them
No, they
as
do it
far
down
as
at the
what
state
they
fair
have to
like
do.
that, too.
What's that?
Okay.
They do it like that down at the state fair too. They have an
What's
area
that?
in the back where they serve, and then you just have a wristband.
I think you can do that at the corn festival. I
Yes.
think you can buy a beer and then walk the entire area.
But we won't allow anybody to go past a certain point. You can't have alcohol and walk down the midway with the carnival.
No drinks. No
No.
drinks from the Carnival Midway will be allowed into there. So no one can open their lid and pour drinks into a lemonade shake-up cup. Nothing will be allowed. We are gonna have a tent that's gonna sell water, pop, anything that's non-alcoholic for kids and stuff is gonna be inside of that area. So nothing will be coming in. If they wanna finish their lemonade shake-up, they have to stay outside the double snow fenced area. No one will be walking in with food or drink. We're not allowing it because it's the only way we can control it as far as people pouring stuff into stuff. The only cups that are gonna be there are cups that are coming out of those bars. And that's it. And if there's somebody there with their own cup, they're gonna be asked to leave because we can't control it. That's the only way we can control it and to have kids be
You're
able
gonna-
to participate.
Probably have a certain colored cup, is that?
Yeah, each night is gonna have a different color on armbands and cups. So Dury's out will have different stuff than Sandy Kershaw's gonna have. But I mean, that's the only way that we can do this, and our promoter has done this at several towns, and, he's guiding
Now,
us.
Chucky and I are gonna go with the same cups for both of them, and so we'll be uniform on the cups.
Easy to monitor.
The dilemma at hand is we have an ordinance in front of us that is not, I guess I'll say it's not acceptable for, the vision of the organization right here. So, Joe, what, are you recommending that we just table this and then give it back to you and then,
Well, of course, I would like to know what the vision of the city council is. Do you want I'll call it a double area, and I don't have a map or a schematic, I guess, what has been planned, but what I envisioned was a large area, several blocks long, where the entire festival takes place. Within that, there would be, for example, I envision a beer tent, which might be the size of this room, maybe bigger, maybe smaller, but in that vision. that beer would be sold in the tent alone and consumed in the tent alone, and not be allowed to be taken outside of the tent, or whether I say tent or double fence, I'm just visioning something here, and not be allowed to be taken out of that tight area. Again, I'm envisioning something the size of this room, maybe bigger, maybe smaller, not taken out of that area and taken around as the folks wander around the other venues, activities. Now, that is what I envision when I prepared this
Yes.
ordinance allowing this form of retail license. I would like to know from the council what it is you want from me, and then I'll give you what you want.
I've been to the Muhammad Festival, I've been to the Corn Festival. I guess I do not see a problem with able to purchase it and then being able to walk around in a specific area. I mean, as they envision it.
In your fenced-in area.
Right, which would be really,
But,
in Huntington, for the whole 300 block.
but all ages allowed in that area. Because they're gonna put they're gonna put a stage and they're gonna have a concert there. They want the concert for all ages, but they want to allow those who are 21 or over the ability to drink. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm not speaking, I don't, does anyone have an issue at the council level
Well,
here?
for Joe's clarification, how big of an area are you fencing off? A full city block?
300 block.
The whole, we're gonna start like in the middle of the street between McKinley and the video store.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And so, just for my own clarification, so that area is like about a block in size roughly,
Right.
and that is the maximum venue area.
Yes.
And what you're visioning is beer sales allowed in a small section, but people with proper identification, over 21, et cetera, are allowed to purchase it there and take the beer with them throughout the entire block.
Just that block.
Just that block.
300 block, not,
Just that block.
not where the
300
lines
blocks
and
is
stuff.
what the full width and the length of the
We're gonna have snow fence around the whole grassy area of the bank, so nobody can,
Well, we're gonna divide their grassy area off, so to keep people from, you know, being on their grass or doing anything to harm their stuff. But as far as the sidewalks and all that up to the bank will be open. And the snow fence will kind of diagonally cut across Main Street, and it will divide it off from the carnival area.
This is my road. Yes.
We already passed, gentlemen, and Joe, I thought I'd given you a copy, but we have already passed the area of the beer garden.
Right.
Okay, so we named the area that would be, we named the hours, and we named the specific date.
Right.
So we've already taken care of that part. Did that a month and a half ago.
So what's the area that we passed,
Okay, so not to include Illinois Route 54.
right?
So their fencing, though, will have to go up to Illinois Route 54, and it'll go to the north side, I'm sorry, it'll go to the south side of the intersection of Main and Water. So
Okay.
it's that block right there,
From sidewalk to sidewalk.
from sidewalk to sidewalk. And it'll be double fenced according to the insurance carrier.
That defines the parameter of the beer garden, but it doesn't address
Correct.
this.
No, they're two
So
separate
we
issues.
still have to go back to this.
Yes,
Okay.
but the area of the beer garden was already discussed.
Which reminds me, I would like to request,
So this is 54.
Yes.
So we're boxing off the whole street.
Correct. The stage is always down here,
Right.
on the south side, so
we
yes.
need a meeting with the city, or with the Heritage Days.
We're looking at this, to see what they have. 54's here, our bank is here.
Do what?
We have one bar's here.
I'm just telling you.
This is the whole street.
About blocks in the
This is
sun.
all for
Okay. Okay,
And all the parking.
and what you're envisioning
Is that there will be like fencing and the entrance will be just right here.
Well,
So like fencing will be up to here. So this is the only entrance. There's gonna be station here, station here. So we will be making sure that no one goes past.
under the age of 21.
Let's go ahead and get back to the meeting, and then what we'll need to do is we can meet out. Did you have a question?
Well, if I could just have her finish her explaining here,
Go ahead.
just about here.
Right.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, so then the bars are gonna have bouncers at the front door of each, and then they'll have somebody at the back door of each entrance. We will be entering, and they will be making sure that everybody has a wristband, or is, you know,
Okay.
anybody entering that bar has to have a
And they
wristband.
can't come in the back door.
No, back doors will be locked.
Okay.
Or
They
somebody
won't be
will-
locked, but there'll be
Like-
bouncers in
Yeah,
them.
somebody will
Okay.
stand up and let them in. And then potentially we will have like a beer wagon that will have a tent over it, and the bartenders will be, from each bar, 2 bartenders from each bar, so 4 total, will be manning that station under the
Okay.
tent, and that will be helping to reduce the craziness of inside the bars.
Okay.
You know, 2,000 people trying
Yes.
to drink is not gonna work going in and out of bars. So that's what our promoter is suggesting, and we're trying to get this passed so we can move forward with ordering everything and making sure that this is all approved before we have every city.
Okay.
And it's less than 6 weeks away.
Yeah, okay, so if someone goes into a bar, buys a beer, where can they go? If they're over 21, where can they go?
We are gonna let anybody be in this whole area, because the stage is
But
right
they
here.
cannot go past
The
it.
stage is right here, so there will be, you know, maybe even potentially an officer or something, but we will make sure that someone, you know, we thought about like the superintendent of the school, like someone recognizable to people, you know, that wants to volunteer and help us, but there will be multiple people standing here. No one will be walking in with a cup from the carnival, no one will be walking out with a cup from this area.
Okay, so,
Nothing.
but what, just so we're clear here, what you're envisioning is persons over 21 years of age, not intoxicated, legal to buy a drink, they can traverse the entire block
Right.
with their beer.
Right, because it will be double snow fence, so there is
The
no.
entire block.
Yes.
Okay.
That is, I don't see an issue with that at all.
Does that help you?
Yeah, yes it does.
When we say the entire block, we're talking about the fenced-in area.
Right, correct.
Joe, how long would it take to put
Well,
something together?
if you give me about a minute here, quite frankly, our license may actually allow that.
Okay.
With minors? They're talking about minors walking.
Well,
It says you can serve it to under 21, but it doesn't say you can't be down there.
No, they'll work later.
It's no different than backyard barbecue.
I know, but I just wanted them to remember what the issue was to begin with.
I understand.
Yeah.
well,
Just dead air while Joe's reading.
yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, the answer to that is going to be clearly if your insurance company is all right with it, because if they're not going to be all right with it, that changes everything.
Fair statement.
So Larry is once he gets with the insurance company and finds out, you know, if the insurance company says no minors in there, in that area, or we're not gonna cover you, well, that changes, you know, that shines a whole new light on everything, so.
We're on a deadline here, I know that, so,
What is the deadline?
like yesterday?
So can we approve this pending insurance approval?
You can approve it.
I mean, we can't come back to another meeting, is what I'm saying.
You could approve it, and then if it's problematic, you could amend it. If it's
Okay.
not problematic, then it would stand and it would cover it.
We can do that, Joe, we can do it.
Yeah,
So what I'm saying is we go ahead and call it, and if the city council
Yeah.
approves it and we find no issue with it,
With the insurance.
then we're good to go. If we find an issue, then we come back to it.
I think that's right. I think under 3C, the liquor commissioner, that's you, Mayor.
Yes.
Can determine, can refuse any temporary license if it is found that any measures to ensure the protection of persons under the age of 21 are not adequate to reasonably ensure such protection. So
That's
I think you
what I'm
have
saying.
the authority to reject it if you say, you know what, I've looked at this doesn't work, this doesn't do it.
But so this ordinance covers what we needed to cover, we just need to make sure the insurance company is okay with it. Okay.
Call it.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Hahn?
Yes.
Harden?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Thank you.
Make a motion to go into executive session, personnel to discuss appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, and/or performance of specific employees pursuant to section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act, 5 ILCS 102/2C1.
Mayor, point of order here, you do need to identify either the specific employee or the specific position of that. You cannot just say generically. It needs to be very specific.
City manager.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
city
official.
manager. We'll need a second. Second.
Oh, for executive session, gotcha.
That's all right. Call it.
What we doing again?
Yes.
Recalling the liquor license?
No. He was calling the executive session up, and Joe says we have to identify either the position or the person that we are going to discuss. It's a point of order.
Okay.
So, and then you second it? Call it.
Hahn?
Yes.
Harden?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Session. And we move on to the city manager and his report.
We just have a couple things that we haven't discussed tonight through resolutions or the ordinance. One is that the Maple Street sewer line, we have received the plans back from Farnsworth Group. We've got the contract to sign for the construction permit to be sent to the EPA. You see that with the installation of some approximate 1,400 feet of sewer down through there, at the deepest point is 7 feet. At the shallowest point, it's only 5 feet. So anytime you're working in a trench, it's dangerous work, but at least the guys aren't super deep over their head. The other thing is the water main extension out at Prairie Ridge Subdivision. That work was also done by Farnsworth Group. That permit is ready to be signed to go to the EPA. Actually, I'm going to sign the documents tomorrow and get them back to Farnsworth Group so we can get them in the mail. Usually there's a 40-day turnaround. The EPA has 40 days to give you an answer, would be more appropriate. And so that allows for the boring under Illinois Route 54. On the south side of 54, there'll be a fire hydrant will be set there, and there'll be an extension. So should there ever be any growth to go to the west on the south side of 54, there'll be a water main there. Should we ever want to go into Greenleaf subdivision, there'll be water that we can get from that point. So that work is ready to go. After we get the permit back, the construction permit back, we'll be letting that out for bid. So we'll get that process going just as soon as we can. One of the other things is that, as I reported and we discussed this during the budget meeting, is the chlorination of the effluent as it leaves the wastewater treatment plant. This is one of the state's unfunded mandates. We got a engineering study on it and a rough estimate. Looks like it's going to come in at about $350,000. Now what the EPA said is that back in February we had 6 months to get the work started. You had 2 years to get the work completed. We've asked for a year grace period on each of the phases that's contained in the EPA report. That will allow us to budget ahead for it. We told the EPA that with all of the other issues that we've had going on here, we've had lift stations that have been broken down. We've had the CSOs, which are south of the city cemetery, that we've had to repair. And they know that we've been doing this work because they come and inspect it. With all of that work that we've been doing, been playing Johnny Ketchup to please grant us that year's extension. We don't know if we'll be granted that year's extension, but it's worth a try. If not, the EPA does have low-interest loans that we could take out if we had to. So another thing here is that, as you saw on Facebook and we'd already reported, Chad Yaden has successfully completed his Class C public water supply operator. He'll be challenging the bead test here within the next month and a half, and so that's a big deal. It's a great deal for a community this size to have 2 licensed water supply operators. And then the other thing is what we had, and everybody knew about, was a sinkhole over on Washington Street. That was a sewer tap that had broken off of the main trunk line. Ted Reynolds was hired to run his backhoe, his high hoe over there. The guys got down in the hole and made the repair. So that's what I've had, gentlemen.
Any questions to the city manager's report?
Pass along to Chad and appreciate what he's done.
Any non-agenda items and other business? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Call it.
Kelly,
Yes.
Testori,
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
motion carried.